Assalamualaikum and hi. My presentation is based on the comparative study of traditional costing and activity-based costing in Forging Company of Iran Tractor by Dr. Muhammad Hassan Haddadi and Mir Javad Syed Nazhat. This study was carried out to determine the best costing method for this Forging Company of Iran Tractor. Activity-based costing was introduced as an alternative for traditional costing. It is because, due to rapid technological changes, intense competition, and information processing revolution, traditional costing failed to provide cost price of products and performance evaluation. Activity-based costing was taken as an improved method for calculating the cost. By that, there are some differences between these two methods. The first one is implementation. Implementation for traditional costing is simple but less accurate. Under this method, they required 6 steps, which are identification of indirect costs, estimation of indirect costs, choose cost driver, estimation of value for cost driver, computation of overhead rate, and the last one is application of overhead rate. Meanwhile, for activity-based costing, it is complex but more accurate. Even though they are complex, it only consists 4 steps to calculate the cost. The first step is identify and classify the activity, estimate cost for whole activity, compute a cost driver rate, and the last one is apply activity cost using cost driver. The second one is cost allocation. Traditional costing only using single overhead pool, which leads to the certain amount of estimation in allocation. The cost allocation is based on direct labor hours and machine hours. So, it is hard to reveal the actual cost and effective relationship between indirect costs and individual performance. Meanwhile, activity-based costing is using multiple activity cost pools, which every activity have their own cost driver. Overhead costs under this method can be allocated straight to the products, and the allocation of overhead costs and cost products is more precise. This enabled activity-based costing method to find better estimation costs compared to traditional costing. The third one is information. Traditional costing did not focus on why or where the cost occurred, but only provide little insights into the causes of variance. Besides, traditional costing did not provide non-financial information such as defect rates and throughput rates in each activity, since it is beyond capacity of this method. The reporting methodology under this method was less accurate and often not timely, which makes it hard for the operational manager to understand since it is very analytical and does not related to the cost of product or services applied. Meanwhile, for activity-based costing, it provides insights into the starting place of costs and probable outcome of different decisions by the process manager. The reporting methodology is more accurate and helps manager become aware of original parameters that created demand on indirect and keep up resources that can identify and remove non-value adding activities. Besides, this information emerged as a tremendously useful guide to management action that translated directly into higher profit. The last one is understandability. Traditional costing did not help the Iranian forging company to have complete understanding due to lack of information. Besides, the operational staff and the production managers did not trust on traditional costing about costing the product. Meanwhile, activity-based costing enables Iranian forging companies to come up with better understanding of all profitability of their products due to complete information in this method. Based on the understanding, overhead costs consist of a high percentage of total production costs. In conclusion, there are various of difference between traditional costing and activity-based costing. Every organization in Malaysia need to study all the differences to know clearly what they require prior and decide the most appropriate method for their company. There is no such thing as the best costing method, but there is only the most suitable costing method to use. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi, I will be presenting based on the article entitled A Theory of Cost System Choice, Traditional versus Activity-Based Costing by Birendra Kumar Mishra. The article stated how the type of cost system practiced in the firm could affect the information needed by managers. Traditional costing is helpful in promoting the efficiency of mass production enterprises. particularly manufacturers producing standard products with high content of direct labor and material. For most firms, direct labor represented the largest component of manufacturing costs, while indirect costs, such as overhead expenses, comprise only a small portion of total costs. This system then evolved to include additional indirect cost allocation basis, but managers still criticize this system to be unable to provide information relevant for decision making. On the other hand, activity-based costing system attempts to estimate costs by computation that approximate cause and effect relationships in the production process, therefore providing product costs that are more accurate than traditional costing method. The difference between traditional costing and activity-based costing is that the activity-based costing system is assumed to perfectly measure the production process and provide the managers accurate information about indirect cost curves for each product. In contrast, the traditional costing system provides the managers only an estimate of total indirect cost curve and incomplete information about how each of the products affects the consumption of indirect resources. This is because, under traditional costing system, managers could not figure out the exact amount of activity consumed by each product. Instead, traditional costing observed the total amount of activity. In the case of producing two products, managers observe information for both product 1 and product 2 as a whole. Since the actual activity for each product is not known under traditional costing, the actual individual product cost cannot be observed. However, using activity-based costing, the actual cost curves for each product can be studied. Managers will observe information for product 1 and product 2 individually, which allow the managers to compute the actual overhead cost for each product type. In short, using the traditional costing system, the firm's accounting system records the revenues, direct material costs, direct labor costs, per unit activity costs, and the total realized overhead costs. But in the activity-based cost system, the firm's accounting system records the revenues, direct material costs, direct labor costs, per unit activity costs, and the individual realized overhead costs for each product type. In the article, Birendra Kumar Mishra used the case study of Kaplan 1986 from John Deere Component Works to prove the fact that managers do not know the actual overhead costs for individual products using traditional costing. The result of using traditional costing from this case is that the low volume parts were undercosted, while the high volume parts were overcosted. However, when activity-based costing system was employed, costs for low volume parts increased by at least 200%, and the high volume parts recorded an insignificant decrease in cost. Although the total amount of overhead cost was the same in both costing systems, the traditional system allocated an estimated amount of overhead to products on the basis of direct labor dollars, material dollars, and machine hours, while the activity-based cost system traced the overhead costs from individual components. The managers stated that they had intuition about the direction of overcosting and undercosting of the cost, but they did not know the actual cost curves for individual products while practicing traditional costing. The pricing and other decisions made by managers using the distorted cost numbers could lead to severe long-run losses. So in order to avoid such things, firms are encouraged to practice activity-based cost system. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anis Zati binti Muhammad Yusof, metric number 281471, and I'll be presenting based on the article entitled Why Activity-Based Costing or ABC is still tagging behind the traditional costing in Malaysia by Devi Nagarasya. Activity-based costing or ABC does not vary with volume. However, it might differ with some other measure of activity. Next, ABC recognized that activities cost. There is no change in the short run because these costs are correlated with supplying the capacity essential to carry out the manufacturing operations, marketing operations, or administrations. Moving on to the implementations of costing system. For ABC system, the first step is to identify and classify activities. The next step is to estimate the cost for whole activities. The third step is to compute a cost driver rate, and the last one is to apply activity cost using cost drivers. The second step of traditional system is to estimate indirect costs. The third step is to choose cost drivers, and then the fourth step is to estimate the value for cost drivers. The fifth step is to compute overhead rate, and the last step is to apply the overhead rate. Under activity-based costing or ABC, there are levels of activities. The first one is unit level activities. It refers to activities that must be carried out for each unit of a product manufactured. The next one is batch level activities. Batch level activities are other activities that are performed for each batch of units. The cost varies with the number of batches, not the number of units manufactured, because batches can contain different number of units. The third one is the product level activities. Once performed, the product level activities will benefit all units of a particular product. The last one is facility level activities. It acts like fixed costs under traditional cost performance cataloging and will be controlled the same way. Costs incurred to carry out the groups of activity all vary in response to changes in some measure of the activity called the cost driver. Cost of all the groups can be changed by changing the amount of the activity's cost driver. Next, I will be talking about the differences between the ABC system and the traditional system. Firstly, in terms of cost drivers, ABC allowed managers to get rid of costs related to non-value added activities and develop the efficiencies of present development, since ABC offered better visibility into business development and their cost drivers. Under performance management, cost drivers in ABC system provide volume determined on a different kind of operational performance which reflect the effectiveness and accuracy of the activity concerned. For direct and indirect costs, traditional system use bases like direct labor and machine hours to allocate expenses to product and services. The bases are associated with indirect and keep-up activities. The expenses of indirect and keep-up resources are then segregated by activities under ABC, and those expenses were allocated based on the drivers of these activities. Under cost objectives, ABC methodology can be applied to cost objects except for the product. Furthermore, when identifying work activities and costs, ABC classifies the work activities and its costs in relation to manufacturing a product, delivering a service, or performing a process, which help to fill in the gaps of the traditional costing method. For cost performance, traditional system assumes that an order is typical of overall operations such that all activities are performed in proportion to the volume measure with which variable cost varies. Meanwhile, ABC system is used in a number of activities such as shipping and order processing that may be tailor-made in negotiations with customers. Under variables and fixed costs, traditional cost divides costs into variables and fixed categories, while ABC divides the cost into those that vary with unit level activities, batch level activities, product level activities, and facility level costs. In terms of adjustment to product specification, ABC guides the industrial marketers to decide which product specifications may be adjusted in negotiations to yield important cost reductions, which may result in a more competitive price. On the other hand, in traditional costing, costs can only be reduced by changing volume. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My presentation is based on comparative and scalar incorporate traditional cost system versus activity-based cost system, a managerial accounting case studied by Kian Yun Ivy Huang. This case is designed to discuss the comparison between the two cost systems and discusses the different conceptual between these two. Traditional cost system follow a simple framework and the implementation of the traditional cost system is straightforward. Then the resulting cost allocation is far from precise. To address the shortcomings of the traditional cost system, there is activity-based costing, short as ABC. ABC follow a complex framework involve two-stage process. Firstly, manufacturing and non-manufacturing overhead costs are assigned to activity cost pool. Secondly, allocation start with the calculation of activity rates by dividing the total cost of each pool by the activity output. Then the resulting cost allocation is more accurate. By that, there are some differences between these two methods. The implementation traditional cost system is simple but less accurate, with one single cost driver yield distorted cost allocation. Present, the implementation of ABC is complex because able to account for the resource consumption by each part and more accurate cost allocations. Some products were overpriced and others were underpriced when comparing the traditional costing vs ABC. The implementation of ABC is high cost of implementation, while the traditional costing is low cost. Solution to the problem of high implementation cost by using time-driven cost driver that capture the practical capacity of resources, ABC has been shown to provide more accurate and transparent cost allocations. Differences in conceptual. First, the traditional cost system allocates all manufacturing overhead costs to product, even the costs that are not caused by the product manufacturing process. Example, the salary of facility cleaning crew and security guards are allocated to product only because they are incurred at the manufacturing facilities. Comparison, ABC includes manufacturing overhead costs if they are caused by product-related activities, because the cleaning crew and security guard perform activity relating to the general maintenance of the facilities. Their salary show as an organization sustaining cost and excluded from product cost under ABC. Second, the traditional cost system excludes all non-manufacturing costs from product cost, even though some of these non-manufacturing costs are presumed caused by product. For example, the cost of office supply and office equipment depreciation are reported as a period expense under the traditional cost system. However, in the case of Skylar, a portion of this cost is consumed by product-related order processive activities. ABC includes this type of non-manufacturing costs in product cost. For Skylar, non-manufacturing costs related to order processing and post-sale support activities are allocated to the overhead cost of product in ABC. Differences result on product cost. First, manufacturing overhead costs caused by customer and organization level activity are excluded from product cost in ABC, resulting in lower product cost when compared to the traditional cost system. Second, non-manufacturing overhead costs caused by product-related order processing and post-sale support activities and add to product cost in ABC, resulting in higher product cost when compared to the traditional cost system. Finally, direct costs such as shipping and sales commission are also add to product cost in ABC, resulting in higher product cost when compared to the traditional cost system. The aggregate effect of these three differences between the traditional cost system and ABC result in higher product costs for both the standard and customized models. In conclusions, the traditional cost system and ABC have a lot of difference, while the comparison between the two cost systems, the comparative study discussed the conceptual difference between the two and the different effect on product costs.
The title of the article that I have chosen is Perceived Success of Costing System, Activity-Based Costings and Traditional Systems Compared. The study was designed to examine specific issues relating to the usage and perceived success of activity-based costings and traditional costing systems. Collected data are from management accountants operating at senior management level in large companies in manufacturing, financial services and non-manufacturing sectors. Survey was conducted of the top 500 companies excluding the financial services companies and the top 50 financial services companies from the 2001 Business and Finance listing of top Irish companies. There was a relatively high adoption rate was reported for activity-based costing systems, but there is also a large majority of companies was found to continue using traditional costings. No major differences were found between the two types of systems in terms of overall usage frequency or perceived success, but significant differences were reported for specific areas of application. Accounting involvement, previously found to be a non-significant variable in ABC success, was found to be the one and only variable to show significant association with the success of both ABC and traditional systems. There are two main points that were discussed in the article. Firstly, ABC adoption rate compared to the traditional systems adoption rate. There is significantly higher usage by ABC adopters than users of traditional systems in two areas of application, which is in customers' profitability analysis and activity performance measurement and improvement. There is evidence that dissatisfaction with existing customers' profitability information is a significant factor that associates with the decision to consider adaptation of ABC instead of traditional systems. Other shortcomings of traditional costing systems can be overcome to a satisfactory extent, so does the customer profitability. Traditional costing systems are not well equipped to provide information and often base it only on direct cost. Indirect costs, which for many organizations constitute an increasing proportion of the total cost base, that can be only accurately attributed to customers by some form of activity analysis. The next point is ABC and traditional costings perceived success correlated. Perceived success is strong, positive, and noticeably higher for ABC compared to traditional systems. Success in specific areas of application is generally more reliable than usage as an indicator of overall success. For ABC, the most reliable areas to select are the product and services, pricing and modeling, and the least are the usage in stocks, valuation and reward systems. For traditional system, the most reliable are usage in activity performance management and improvement. The least reliable are usage in stock valuation and forecasting. For ABC, the most reliable areas to select are success in stock valuation and cost reduction or cost management, and the least reliable are success on capital investment decisions and introducing JIT or speed initiatives. For traditional costings, the most reliable success indicator of overall success are success in budgeting, cost reduction or cost management, activity performance measurement or improvement, and process or operating management, while the least reliable success indicator of overall success are similar to the findings regarding usage, success in stock valuation, and forecastings. Users of ABC activity-based costing systems reported usage and satisfaction in a significantly wider range of application than users of traditional systems. Traditional system users who are considering adoption of ABC reported a similar, though slightly weaker, pattern of usage and satisfaction, suggesting that the versatility of ABC may be an important consideration in adoption decision. Thank you.